Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Mike Overson here, Illuminate Home Loans. You are tuned in to U.S. Home Talk. I got my colleague here, Gary. Are you Ace? You Ace or Gary?
I think today I'm Batman.
Or you're Batman and I'm Robin.
Yeah, you're Robin today.
We got our Hans and Franz. We're here to pump you up, everyone.
Shake and bake.
That's what we should do.
Ricky Bobby.
I'm Ricky Bobby. This is my buddy Cal Naughton Jr. What are we doing? We're talking all things real estate and mortgages here. So you're listening to U.S. Home Talk. It is our weekly podcast at noon Central Standard Time every Wednesday. You can listen to us live on our website at ushometalk.com, and you can connect with us live there as well. And you can watch our podcast, our live podcast, or any previous podcasts from our website or on any podcast service that you use out there. On the show with us today, as always, is Mr. Marcus Walgrave with Hegg Realtors. He's out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and he is representing the great state out there. I was actually out there last weekend fishing, Marcus. I forgot to tell you.
How'd you do?
It was horrible.
Oh, no.
It was super slow. We were up on Thompson, and it was bad.
During the rain?
Yeah.
All that rain?
We got rained on a lot and stuff, yeah. So it was weather related, not because I'm a sucky fisherman. I'm like the best fisherman ever. It was all based on, it was due to the weather. That's what
definitely
I blame it on.
weather.
Absolutely.
Probably the barometric pressure as well.
Oh yeah, it was the,
No.
and then the lifter gifter wasn't working right either. So
Yeah.
on
the wrong
we're gonna
side of the
take
full moon.
yeah. We're going to be taking your calls and your comments during our show. If you're on Facebook, you can just type in a question or comment right in the comment section there in the live feed, and we'll answer those during the show. You can also connect with us as well on our hotline, which is 612-234-7585. Again, 612-234-7585. So if you want to connect with us during the show, give us a call or a text there. You certainly can do that as well. We are going to be talking about the cost of waiting, right? So a couple different factors with the cost of waiting. If you're in the market to buy a house now and you're like, do we buy now? Do we wait a year? Do we wait 2 years? We're going to dive into that today a little bit and shed some light on what the actual cost of waiting is going to be for you. So the first thing that I want to talk about, and this is where Marcus and Jason are going to come in here, is I saw an article just the other day saying that home prices have now hit an all-time high, a new all-time high. Is that correct? Is that what you guys are seeing out there?
I would say in our market, yes. I mean, for the most part, there's always neighborhood exceptions or property exceptions, but I would say so. I also read an article this morning about 10 markets throughout the United States that are seeing big price declines.
Okay.
One of which was Miami, Florida. They've seen an 11.2% decline in prices in the last year. But with the exception of those 10 the rest of them were, 2-3% change. It wasn't a big amount. But with the exception of those 10 markets, most of the United States, definitely our market in the Twin Cities, and Marcus, your market in the Sioux Empire, values have continued to go up in the last every year for the last 10 years. And so I would say, I think home prices, for the most part, are the highest we've seen.
Agreed. Median sale price for the Sioux Empire is $333,500, and that is our highest median sale price that we have recorded going back to 2003. So I agree.
Okay. All right. So that makes sense here. So one of the things that I'm going to do here is I'm going to share my screen.
Should we tell people why we're sharing a screen?
Oh yeah. Why don't you do
You
that
guys
while we're-
just love each other so much.
I said Overson's in my bubble, and so we're gonna push through it, folks. But we lost all power in the building. Thankfully, Overson has a very large battery hooked up to his laptop.
I actually have a recumbent bicycle that I have one of my employees on right now that's creating electricity so that we can power up the laptop there. Keep it up over there. Good job. Some Gatorades go a long way around here. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. So what I'm going to show you is this is going to be a picture of what home appreciation has done since like 1940 and some change. Now I'm trying to figure out.
Don't you remember Evan's instructions?
Yeah. How do I get this one up here? Oh,
You
go
can
back.
you can do it.
Maybe hit
Look at Evan's face.
that button, share button.
No, I gotta go.
No?
Not impressed.
Hold on here a second.
Don't worry, when we do this live, it'll be way better. When we do this for real.
All right. I think I got it figured out, folks. Trust me, it's going to be worth the wait here.
It is worth it because I saw
There
this
we
here
go.
recently as well, and it's,
All right.
it's a very impressive chart.
All right. So we go back to 1942, right? So it says, is real estate worth the risk? Right? Values can go up and down. So this shows you the average appreciation. Now, this is a nationwide stat, right? Each market, just like we spoke about, can be different. We have most of the countries going up right now. We have 10 markets right now where values are declining a little bit. But if you look at this chart here from 1942 all the way up until 2023, you can see the nationwide average appreciation of real estate in our country.
So what was the event in 1990? Because that's, with the exception of the crash of 07 to basically 11, there's a positive appreciation every year.
Right.
So I wonder what happened in 1990 that they had a little dip there.
Yeah, I'm not sure. 90 and 91 because it was 1% decline and then 0. And then 92 was just a 1% appreciation. So it was slow through that time. I mean, look at 46 and 47.
Gulf War
Oh, sure.
would have
Yep.
probably been that.
That could have been
The
Gulf
reason for
War.
that, yeah.
What
Yeah.
about 46 and 47?
Dang.
Is that one of the wars?
24% increase, 21%.
Is that one of the world wars or something?
Got to be. World War II is mid 40s, wasn't it?
Anyway, the point we're trying to show here, if you look recently, even just look over the last 10 years, look at 2014 to 2023. If you add all those numbers up, that's 72%. Wow. It's gone up 72%. So if you're under the assumption that, oh, I'm going to wait a year, I'm going to wait 2 years because I think home values are going to come down or prices are going to come down, I truly don't think they will. I don't think we have the inventory for them to come down. And you can see in 2022 and 2023, when we have interest rates between 7 and 8.5%, that didn't slow us down much. Still up 6%, still up 7%.
Okay, so here's something pretty fascinating. If you look at the real estate crash, 07, so 2007 to 2011, that combined decrease is 29%. So the greatest real estate crash of all time, prices dropped 29% over those 5 years. And you look at the last 4 or 5 years here and how much they've gained, it just goes to that point. If you're waiting for prices to come down to where they were, it's just not going to happen. I mean, historically, you just look at the historical data and it's not going to happen.
So then, going along with that, if I now present my other thingy that I wanted to show, and we've looked at this before on our show here, homes built by decade, right? So, can you guys see this on your end, Marcus?
Yes.
Yes, perfect, good. All right, so millions of homes. So this is in millions of homes built during certain decades. So you can see it goes all the way back from 1930 to 39. So there's 5.4 million homes built during that decade. 40 to 49 was 9.6, and so on. All right. So if you look at the most recent decade, which would be 2010 to 2019, 5.8 million homes built.
That's the
Right,
red bar, correct?
That's the red bar, right? The decade before. So if we go 2000 to 2009, there's 27.1 million homes built. So we needed to build probably 25 million homes in the decade of 2010 to 2019 to keep up with demand and keep up with pace. We didn't. We only built 5.8 million homes, right? So why is there an inventory shortage? Well, that's one of them right there. That's probably the biggest reason right there is we're 25 million homes short in the country during the span of 2010 to 2019. So how long is it going to take to make up those 20 extra million homes that we needed to build in the previous decade?
It could take 20 years.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's the question, right? So then it's like, okay, so yeah, so the inventory thing, we're not going to get this glut of inventory coming up. Because the other argument too that people make is, well, there's going to be foreclosures coming up and there's going to be this because people are still spending, but it's like, consumer goods cost more and this and that. I don't think foreclosures and stuff are going to happen because everyone's got equity now.
Correct.
they're going to just put their home on the market to sell it if they get a bad spot. They're not going to hand it back to the bank because then they're going to give all their equity back to the bank.
Yeah, I think you're right, Mike. I read a stat a few weeks ago and said that right now in America there's more equity than ever before. $1 trillion worth of home equity in the homes across the United States. So yeah, there's and banks, even if the equity wasn't there, banks learned a tremendous amount from the crash of 07, 08. They know they have better systems in place. They have better workouts in place. Banks don't want to own property. They want to lend money.
That's a losing business model.
It is a losing. We used to talk about this because we worked with a lot of foreclosures and short sales, and a bank on average, the cost to do a foreclosure on average was just under $50,000. So that's the loss.
And that was 10 years ago plus.
There was 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, so
correct.
who knows how much it is today?
Probably more, right? I mean, when a cheeseburger costs, $12 at McDonald's right now, it probably costs more. Well, not that much, but you're right. We don't have foreclosures coming in, not like some are predicting. I mean, I think there's going to be there'll be a little bit of an uptake, but I think the market right now it's got to be less than 1% of the properties that are for sale are distressed.
Yes.
And back in 08, 43%. 43% of all the homes on the market for sale in 08, 09 were distressed, either short sales or foreclosures. We're less than 1% right now. So inventory is low. Main reason for that is because, like Mike said, we didn't build as many homes, 25 million less homes than we needed to in a decade. So there's a cost of waiting, and interest rates right now, they're somewhere in the sixes, depending on your criteria, probably averaging in the mid sixes. But the cost of waiting, the appreciation that you're going to have to spend more if you wait a year. And you're going to have to spend even more if you wait 2 years. And so, not to mention all the tax benefits that come along with owning compared to renting.
Marcus has a thought.
I think one thing that would be interesting too is, that the first chart that you showed was a percentage breakdown, right? It would be you see a percentage, you're like, okay, but people always respond to dollars. If you looked at that chart and said, hey, if you bought a house during the last time we went through an inflation period, the great inflation, started in the mid 60s and ended in the early 80s, and you said, well, I'm going to wait until this passes. It's like, okay, well, compound it every year and see what that 15-year wait would have lost you in terms of equity just built through appreciation. So, it's kind of that same concept. It's when you look at historically, we don't have a lot of years where you're seeing a decrease in as a market as a whole. As a whole, obviously, again, we can't emphasize enough about there are specific markets here and there that skyrocketed in valuation and now are trying to recorrect and have a correction and so, but in general, very good investment here in the U.S.
Well, if you look at the last 10 years, so let's say you bought a house for $200,000 10 years ago. Okay, 72% appreciation in the last 10 years. That house is now worth $344,000. You went from $200,000
that's a couple dollars
to $344,000. Right
now, don't expect that you're going to get that if you buy today. 10 years from today, you're going to be in that same position. That was a very unique, but
right.
The big picture is that if you want to buy a house, you want to own a house, there's no point of waiting. If you can buy it and you want to buy it, get out there and go find yourself a sweet home.
So I think the next 5 years is pretty predictable in the real estate game, to be honest with you. It's supply and demand. The price of homes is supply and demand heavy. That is the number one thing that drives home prices is supply and demand. So we know what our supply looks like. We know how many homes were built in the last decade and how much we were short. We know the demand is always there. There's not like there's less people being born today, right? Our population is growing. Every single year we have more and more first-time home buyers and just regular home buyers, right, entering the market because our population is getting bigger. So the demand is there, but our supply is not. I think for the next 5 years, you have a very predictable, safe play where I think you can bank on 3 to 6% appreciation every single year and Like I would bet big dollars on that.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that we can't predict is interest rates because it's not supply and demand, right? It's whatever happens out there. You never know what's going to happen, right, with interest rates. So the other thing that I put together here now is a comparison of what does it cost you to wait? And we're going to assume that interest rates are just going to stay exactly where they're at today because we just have literally no idea where interest rates are going to go. So now I'm sharing my screen with you. So I ran it on a $750,000 house because I was doing this for one of my builders as a new construction house for $750,000. So today, if you bought that place for $750,000, you put your 20% down, interest rates at 6.75, your principal and interest payment is $38.91. And if you keep that loan for the entire 30 years, you're going to pay $800,970 in total interest paid over the life of that loan. If you wait 1 year and appreciation goes up 5%, okay, you would now be paying $787,500 for that same house. You put your 20% down off of that, same interest rate at 6.75. Now your principal and interest is $4,086, and your total interest paid in the life of that loan is $841,000.
Dang.
Woo.
That's an extra. So it's costing you, in this case, $75,000. And when you compare the increase in price and the additional interest payments,
Right.
it's cost you an extra $75,000
To wait a year.
To wait 1 year.
For a 1 year wait.
And then if you wait 2 years, right? Because you're like, prices are going to come down. I'm going to wait 2 years. It didn't come down after year one, but this next year, year number 2 is definitely coming down, right? And then all of a sudden it goes up 5% again, right? So now you're paying $825 for that same house that you could have bought 2 years ago for $750. Put your 20% down. Let's assume interest rates stay the same at 6.75. Now your principal and interest is $42.80. Now you're paying $881,000 of interest over the life of that loan.
$150,000 approximately. That's the cost of waiting 2 years
On that example.
on that example.
So
And that's assuming the interest rates stay at 6.75, right? And so, I mean, they go down to the beautiful thing about the interest rates, folks, which we talk about all the time, is if the rates go down, you just refinance. When you buy your home, you're buying it at today's price. You're able to realize future appreciation. The interest rate, you don't have to keep the rate for 30 years. You can refinance when the rate goes down or gets to a better or more desirable rate for you.
here's the thing too. And again, we don't know where interest rates are going to go, right? We all believe here on this show that interest rates are going to slowly creep down. We don't think they're going to go back up. There are some people making an argument to say we're going to see interest rates between 8 and 9% in the next 2 years. Right? So if that's the case, waiting's really going to sock you, right? It's really going to sock you in the stomach, right? Because now not only are you going to be paying more for that house, but you're going to be paying higher interest, and these numbers are going to be just way worse for you by waiting.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So,
You,
and if they
you
get
were
better,
you were showing a 1 year wait with the same rate.
Mm-hmm.
I
Same
mean,
rate,
if you
right.
just think about that 1 year wait, and if it's up 2%,
Or even
the rate goes
1%.
up.
Or even 1%.
Yeah, we're 1%. Then yeah, I mean you're
right?
some big dollars there. So, and obviously that's going to cool off if that is the case that does happen. I mean, obviously that's going to cool off a lot of the buyers out there. However, like we've always talked about on the show, people are getting into real estate, especially single family homes. They're getting into single family homes, not necessarily because, they're like, hey, this is going to be part of my portfolio. They're doing it because they need a home or they want a home.
Right.
They're doing it because of life events, marriage, employment, getting closer to family, whatever the case might be. So those factors don't go away when rates go up a percent or two. They're still there. So I think that's an important thing to take away from it.
Yeah, a lot of different factors, but I mean, go back to Evan. When did you first become our producer? 2012.
Yeah, it's been about 12 years.
So about 12
Oh.
years, right? So the entire 12 years that Evan has been producing our radio show and our podcast, it has always cost more to wait, right? It has never been cheaper to wait to buy a house. Evan's shaking his head there. He's like, if you go back and look at it, it's like we talk about this like probably 4 or 5 times a year on our shows. Every single year since 2012, it has costed you more to wait. And I think that trend will continue for a long time now, to be honest with you.
I do too.
Yeah.
So,
And
here's the
when
other
you
thing,
kind of
too.
talk about some specific markets too, I mean, when here in the Sioux Falls, South Dakota area, prior to the Great Recession, we didn't really have a very, in comparison to previous decades. Yes, our inventory was high, but we didn't have like a very very high inventory. So in our market, after the financial market crashed and the housing market crashed, even in our specific market, our little micro market that we had, we didn't even see a decline in real estate during that period. It plateaued, and it stayed plateaued for a couple of years, but we didn't see a big drop. Again, going back to your point in the beginning of the show is because we just didn't have this incredible inventory out there. Yes, we did have more than what we normally did, but it was enough to get absorbed, quickly. So,
Yeah, all good points.
It's getting hot in here.
It is getting hot in here. So not only when the power goes out, not only do your second monitors work and all that stuff, and the Wi-Fi doesn't work. We're running off my hotspot right now, but the air conditioner in the building also doesn't work. So we're in the top floor of the building, and the sun's beating down on the roof. It's getting warm. Not gonna lie. And there's Marcus sitting in his cushy air conditioning,
dude,
just acting like a boss over there.
it's pretty nice, man. I think we're like, high 70s right now. No big deal.
He's probably got the air cranked up. He's like, "It's kind of getting chilly in here. I should go grab."
I got the
cardigan."
windows open.
I've got all my windows open too. Yeah, it's really
windows
nice
open.
today.
Yeah, it's nice, dry air, living life. No
must
big
be
deal.
nice.
Must be like 80 degrees.
It's got to be about 82 or 83 in this building right now.
I'm looking forward to seeing that for myself. I'm going to swing by there after the show. So
Perfect. Excellent. Well, that's our show for today. So great commentary, guys. I hope this information was useful for everyone that's watching us. Again, you can connect with us at any time during the week at ushometalk.com or our real estate hotline number, which is 612-234-7585. I'm Mike Overson. This is Jason Walgrave. We got Marcus Walgrave from Sioux Falls, South Dakota as well. We appreciate you listening. We'll be back next week.